Yeah.
And I will say this, and I guess we can go into the next conversation.
Yeah.
Khabib's the most dominant UFC fighter we've seen. Yes or no? Dominant.
No.
Okay, who's been more
I don't
dominant?
care. Look, man,
Who's
I
been more-
understand.
Who's been,
Okay.
the
No,
difference
I
is-
get it. Khabib has dominated the weak ass opponents he's faced, sure. But I don't give a fuck. He has not fought anyone, man. Like, let me I literally went full deep dive into this, all right? I'll start with the Conor comparison because it's fun. I think it's closer than you're giving him credit. Khabib's fights in the UFC, all right? Just the UFC. I don't give a shit about what you did before. Those fights don't matter.
Right.
He's 13-0 in the UFC. Great. He's got 7 finishes for 54% of his fights, all right?
Yep.
Conor is 10-2 in the UFC. He's finished 80% of them.
Okay.
So it's gone to decision more in Khabib, so don't tell me he's dominating these.
I mean, he's done it every round except for, I guess,
Conor's 12 opponents in the UFC. 8 of them. So I'm going Tapology rankings because they're normally pretty good, right?
So you're saying, your argument is that Conor is the most.
Hold on, just straight
fighter in the
up,
UFC.
straight. No. There's.
Okay.
I have one that's even better than this, but
John Jones.
So
Go.
of the 12 fights that Conor's had in the UFC, 8 of his opponents have been in the top 100 all time. 3 of them have been top 50, 2 have been top 10, 1 being Khabib. So that one's a little different. He's got 2 of the top 25 fights of all time.
Yep. In terms of what? In terms of what? 2 of the top 25.
Like just ranked as the 2 of the top 25 of all time.
That's
they have like
based off of. But that's
Sure,
subjective based
sure,
off of it being
sure.
back and forth and being
Sure,
close.
their rankings are pretty legit, but sure, I'll give you that.
But in order to
Okay,
have
so
a good
there's
fight, you need
that's
it to
Conor
be
for
close.
you, okay? That's Conor. Fine.
Sure.
Khabib's.
I don't think that helps you, but okay.
Khabib has 13 fights.
In the UFC, yes.
Yeah. 4 of them are against top hundreds. 1 is against the top 50, and it's Conor. That's it.
Okay.
No top 10s. Only 1 top 50. 4 top hundreds, and it's Rafael Dos Anjos, Dustin, Justin, and Conor.
You mean former champion Rafael Dos Santos?
Right. So is everyone that Conor fought.
But would you say so? Who at lightweight is Conor's best win?
He only fought in 8 lightweight, right? Or no, lightweight's the 155 division.
155 is what
Took Eddie Alvarez, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Eddie Alvarez is his best win.
Oh, hold on.
I'm pretty sure it's just Eddie Alvarez because he lost to Khabib.
Yeah, I don't think he fought again.
Yeah,
lightweight, right?
yeah. Nice try.
Hold on. Eddie Alvarez, who is 30-7 in his career, mind you,
Yeah,
is
Eddie Alvarez
the
is not good.
52nd greatest MMA fighter of all time.
Who? Eddie Alvarez?
Eddie Alvarez. The guy can fight.
Yeah, sure.
He's fought better fighters. I'm not even I'm not going to argue that Conor's better. That's not an argument I'll ever win.
Okay. No.
But like the one thing I laugh real hard at is people are talking like, "Oh, Khabib had a broken foot and he recovered and did this."
That is pretty
Okay,
cool. That is pretty cool.
Conor beat Max Holloway on a torn ACL.
But you know Max Holloway wasn't the Max
A
Holloway.
torn ACL, dude.
But
He
this
had
is-
one leg
hold on,
and he
hold on,
beat
hold on,
Max
hold on,
Holloway.
Hold on. Can you not agree that when Conor fought Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier, they are not the fighters that they are today?
He
Agree
did
or
it on one leg.
Agree or disagree?
Max
No,
was
I'm not
younger,
saying-
in better shape.
Yeah, Max Holloway also didn't know how to fight at that point. This is
He was
before
also
went
on one leg. They were both in the
Before
early
he
stage
went
of
on
their
that
career.
call.
It's the same thing. It was Conor's second fight in the UFC.
Okay, but how many more fights did Conor have to fight to get a title shot? Could be, okay,
2.
Let's go. This does not involve Conor at all.
No.
This whole conversation.
But like I don't like I hate people using the whole he broke his foot and he came back. Conor did it on one leg.
No. But that doesn't have to do. That doesn't have to
Like
do. This is for a
don't
title,
use
though.
don't use
This
that
is
as an
for a
argument for
title.
greatness if you're not going to talk about Conor.
That's not for a title.
He still beat one of the greatest fighters in UFC history.
But he wasn't the.
He's still a top 50.
What was Max Holloway's best win to date when he fought?
After Conor, yes.
Oh, of course, it looks better in.
He's still Max Holloway, man, and he beat him on one leg.
That doesn't, but
One
where-
fucking leg, Amir.
Okay, I understand.
Khabib
that.
was healthy when he went in to fight Justin.
What does this have?
Conor
to do
was on one leg.
Now, Mauro, does it not matter performing there's a championship on the line and not in like, let's say, your second fight in the UFC, third fight in the UFC?
I mean, the bigger the
stage,
bigger
the more it means.
It's the
Period.
stage.
He did it on one leg against one of the best fighters in UFC
What does that have to
history.
do with anything? What does that have to do with
Like,
anything?
don't tell me he's not more dominant when you're fighting one of the better fighters on one fucking leg.
Max Holloway ranked at the time.
And
What was Max Holloway ranked at
Not-
the time?
Don't know at that
Exactly.
point. Regardless, it was Max Holloway. It's not like it's Max Holloway completely worse than what he is.
Okay, so then let's say the guy that knocked out Izzy Adesanya in kickboxing, just give him the #1 rank. He's the best fighter of all
No, because
time.
Izzy's not that good either.
Okay.
Don't even give me that. Izzy's a good wrestler. Fuck off. He's not a good fighter. Okay, fine. You want to compare an actual GOAT?
Izzy's a striker. What are you even talking about?
You want to compare an actual GOAT?
Yes, let's go.
Okay. John motherfucking Jones.
Oh, you mean John
And-
Asterix Jones?
No. Okay, no, because there were 3 fights since he's been suspended. He's 20-1 in his career. So you take away those 3 fights, he's 17-1 before he even took steroids.
Screaming into the camera. You screaming into the camera. Or into the mic.
Hmm?
Okay.
He's 17-1
Yeah, I understand.
in his career.
In his
If you
last-
take those out, but I'm not because that's fucking stupid.
Okay.
He has 12 fights against top 100 opponents, 6 against top 50, 2 against top 10s. He's got 15 title fights.
Uh-huh.
He has one of the greatest fights of all time against Alexander Gustafsson, and he's fought.
That he should have lost.
The first one, no, he fucking dominated.
No, he did not. No, he did not.
He won that fight.
No, he did not.
He deserved the win in that fight.
Mm.
Don't give me that. That is not a questionable decision.
Everyone questions it.
No.
Literally everyone questions that win. John Jones, in his last 3 fights, he could have lost every single one of them.
Are you talking the first Gustafsson one or the second one?
The first Gustafsson won. The second one he won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dominated him in the second one.
The first one was. Why would you even? How could you even mix up the two? The Gustafsson one he could have lost. Absolutely. I think he probably did lose.
But he won.
Off of his name. His last 3 fights. His last 3 fights, he should have lost probably 2 of them.
The Dominic Reyes one I'll give you.
Dominic Reyes was a loss.
Okay. He's been.
Thiago Santos tore his ACL and probably should have won.
In his 15th title fight.
Let me finish my point.
15th title fight.
Let me finish my point. Santos, he probably should have lost 2. Santos dominated that fight and then tore his ACL.
Okay.
Anthony Smith, he illegally kneed him, and he should have. He did. You didn't watch the fight. I know you didn't. He illegally kneed him. Yeah, he illegally kneed him. If Smith says, I can't continue," he gets the belt and he wins that fight. But he said no. 3 of his last fights.
Because he's not a bitch.
So here's the thing.
Regardless.
Here's the thing. We're talking about the greatest of all time. And first of all, my argument was the most dominant. Khabib has never looked overmatched in a fight.
Because he never fights anyone, dude.
Okay, so
He literally, he fought Conor after 2 years off. Never gave him a rematch. Because he has no fucking respect for anyone. Never gave him a fucking rematch. Didn't give him a rematch. Didn't give Dustin a rematch.
Hold on. Why would he have respect for Conor?
Because he was one of the best in the sport when he took him on. He's earned that
Oh,
spot.
you mean when he actually gave a shit about the sport and then he left the fucking sport for boxing?
Because he wouldn't fight him.
That's
He
not
straight up
true.
said, I'm not fighting him.
Hold on. You know,
I can pull the quote for you, dude.
You can pull the clip where Khabib's asking for Conor and the UFC won't give it to him.
Before, when Khabib wasn't good, because look at who he fought. Nobody's. He did not fight anyone.
Hold on. So in the conversation of GOATs, how many fights did it take Conor to get a title match? Do you know?
You don't even have to talk about Conor in the GOAT conversation because no one's going to get on my side on that.
So
Took him 4, I think.
I think there's 2 people that should be in the conversation for GOAT. I think it's
There's
GSP
3.
and I think it's Khabib.
There's 2. It's GSP and it's John Jones. It's not Khabib. Fuck off.
Can I tell you
who has he beat?
Can I tell you my reasoning?
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about the greatest of all time, you can't have these asterisks next to your name. It's not a conversation of whether or not John Jones is the most talented UFC fighter ever. Most talented.
Okay.
Just because you have the most talent doesn't mean it actually adequates to the ring.
Okay.
That is fair, correct?
Okay. What are these asterisks? The
4
suspensions?
times he's been suspended. 4 times.
3 times.
4 times.
3 times. One was just the reduction, but
pretty sure it's 4.
he was literally cleared on 2 of them.
Still happened. Like we're talking about the GOATs here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked what like DC. Obviously, he's not a fan of John Jones, but like he gives John Jones
he hates him.
He gives John Jones his respect. Like he understands John Jones is this great fighter. But when you're talking about the greatest people, like fighter or greatest athlete of all time, you can't have these fuck ups in your career. You just can't. You can't put yourself in that situation of throwing an illegal knee to Anthony Smith or throwing an illegal knee. Who did he lose to? That he actually had.
He no contested DC because of the elbow.
That was it, the elbow or what? Yeah. But there was a guy early in his career that he actually has the loss.
Oh
on.
No, you're right. No, it was Matt Hamill. Sorry, not DC.
Yeah,
DC was DC no contested because of the suspension.
Right.
Yeah. Which he beat DC. They're just not on his record.
I understand that, but you can't have these asterisks. Like you can't fuck up like that. You just can't. When you're talking about GOAT, you're talking about flawless performance, and it's not John Jones. It's just not. And he's fucking scared. John Jones is a fucking chicken. He is.
You're gonna hold the fuck on. Yeah. You're gonna talk about Khabib being so great, and you're gonna call John Jones a chicken. You want to see the list of guys John Jones has fought?
Oh, I agree. I know he's fought people.
Don't give me that he's Khabib. He literally he fought everyone once.
Why didn't Dominic Reyes get his rematch? Tell me. Because John Jones was
because they don't pay John Jones at this point.
No.
They've been trying for months. They don't pay him. It's a joke.
You know he didn't want to fight. You know he didn't want to fight.
They've been in contract disputes for months, dude.
Moro, what greatest of all time athlete do you know is a giant piece of shit?
Is a giant piece of shit?
This is
Michael Jordan.
Thank you. One of the greatest athletes of all time.
Would Michael Jordan crash into a pregnant lady and flee the scene? No, he would not do that.
I can't speak to
not that we know of.
I don't think any human being.
John Jones is a fucking piece of shit. Here's my thing. Why do you believe all of these like excuses that John Jones fucking gives? Why? Because like part of his character what part of his character has ever shown you that you can legitimately believe
the part where he was going to the anti-Black Lives Matter rallies and fucking just trashing people because he's a great person?
Who? Do you think John Jones is a great person?
He's not Khabib. He's no worse than Khabib, dude. Khabib's also not a great person.
Did you hear about Khabib talking about Muhammad Ali? Have you seen that clip?
No.
So he was basically brought up. Someone asked him about being compared to Muhammad Ali because he's this dominant UFC fighter, and Khabib basically said like, no, I don't think it's fair to compare us just because like we're both good at our sport, and like he had to deal with like oppression and like he wouldn't be served in restaurants and stuff. He's like, in comparison, you would have to take me back to that period of time, make me black, and have to live through that, and then be that great of a person. Mm-hmm. That's the type of person Khabib is. I know you're not. I know you of all people are not talking about how great people are when you root for Conor, and you know the shit that
Conor's not a good person either.
Oh,
Khabib's no better.
It's cap.
Khabib's the same shit, but he wasn't the same shit when it came to Conor. He just wasn't as bad as Conor. Wait. Nobody has the mouth that Conor has, but Khabib plays the same game. Played the game the entire way to where he got good.
Hold on.
Which one threw the chair at the?
That's Conor. That's Conor.
That was Conor. Connor's terrible. Don't get me wrong. Connor's terrible. But it's also Khabib's team that was pulling him on.
Hold on. Conor said racist shit to Khabib the entire fucking fight. Made fun of his religion.
I'm not trying to argue Connor's a good person. Khabib's no better.
You're trying to argue John Jones is great.
He's the greatest of all time. He's the greatest fighter of all time. It's not close. It's not close. He has 15 title fights that he's won. Even if you want to talk about asterisks and take away half of them, he still has more than Khabib. Khabib has 4.
Hold on. But if you take away
4,
those are losses.
Huh?
If you take away those wins,
I don't give a shit. He fights actual fighters.
That's not true.
He's had more title fights than Khabib has actual fights.
Here's my stat. It took Georges St. Pierre 4 fights to get a title fight.
Okay.
You know how many it took Khabib?
Because Khabib wasn't good. He didn't fight anyone. He didn't earn it.
Whose fault is that? That's not it.
That's Dana's because he's not good at his job. Because he wasn't improving. He kept getting hurt.
Yeah.
He literally kept getting hurt at the beginning of his career. He couldn't fight.
It took Khabib 9 fights to actually get a title shot.
Because he kept getting hurt. He never got the chance because he was hurt constantly. Constantly. He never got a shot because he was always hurt.
I'd rather a guy get hurt than like.
But you can't put him as a GOAT if he spent the whole start of his career getting hurt. Sorry, your longevity's not there.
You call Barry Bonds a GOAT?
No. I call Mike. You said Barry Bonds? I call Mike Trout the GOAT.
Okay, but he's not the GOAT.
Who? Mike Trout?
Not yet. If he retires today, he's not the GOAT. No.
On average.
You're projecting.
On averages, he's the GOAT. Okay, fine. It's still not. It's probably Babe Ruth or Ted Williams. Like you're talking about, but it's a very different sport. That sport goes back hundreds of years. The UFC does not. Like
never won.
Huh?
Ted Williams, who never won. Interesting.
Barry won one.
He didn't win.
Barry didn't even win. So what's your point?
No, my point is like that you're saying all these title defenses matter, when I think what actually matters is the fights that you get. Because look, it matters. In the fight game, it's a lot of luck that happens. Okay. Correct or incorrect? Like because you're at the mercy.
In what sense?
You're at the mercy of getting matched up with guys. Like you just are.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you
also earn the matchups. Once you hit the top, like you just face the best as it goes along.
Sure, but I think that the UFC didn't realize what a cash cow Khabib would turn into until he fought Conor. And realized
his fights don't typically.
I mean, they
numbers.
changed. Well, talk
this
about
one
people
did.
that don't. Hold on, talk about people that don't do numbers. That is your boy John Jones. That is your boy John Jones.
His DC fights did numbers, and what was the other one? Gustafsson one did numbers. There's a couple others.
Who's a part?
His Chael Sonnen one was really good.
You know this for a fact. John Jones wishes he was Khabib or Israel Adesanya. Like he had that fan base. John Jones does not have that fan base. No one likes John Jones. No one.
Have you seen the split on support between Jones and Khabib?
Yeah,
it's not close.
All right. I actually have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So, literally in every sport, you have an MVP, you have a player of the year to at least quantify who is the best at the sport for that given year. Is there anything in UFC that allows people to quantify who had the best season or who had the best year? Because I feel like if you judge things on
pound for pound, but that's subjective, right? Like
that's the only thing. Like I feel like this is definitely the most subjective of sports to try and
100%,
judge.
100%. Part of my thing is, if we're talking pound for pound, if you make Khabib John Jones' height and stuff, I think Khabib wins.
Did they not just update the rankings and put
Khabib's number one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you agree that if Khabib had John
Jones is ranked number 2 all time behind GSP?
In what? Whose rankings is that?
Tapology.
Okay, that's also subjective. Like it is.
He's been.
So do you disagree?
How old's Khabib? You know his age, right?
I think he's a year younger. I think he's either a year younger than John Jones or.
John Jones is 33.
Like they're roughly. I think Khabib's 32.
So Khabib's retired.
Yep.
John Jones has more fights in him.
Does he?
He's going to heavyweight apparently.
I mean, is he? Is he?
I'd like to see what he does at heavyweight. I think that's another thing that like Khabib never did. Khabib never went up or down in weight class.
Sure, but I don't think that you need to.
I think it helps.
Sure, it does.
I think if John Jones goes and wins, John Jones wins 3 fights at heavyweight, you can't have this conversation.
Okay, here's where I kind of disagree, and I agree with you in some ways. Yes, it's an impressive feat going up, but also based off of talent and John Jones's frame, he should be able to do that. He's just faster than guys. He's just better on the ground. Khabib and John Jones are pretty similar of fighters. They're
both really good on the ground.
Yeah,
but John Jones is a better striker.
I don't think John Jones Is it fair to say he really has that power? He doesn't have huge punching power either. He's not the biggest.
He's got just brute strength. He broke.
Okay.
What was it? I think it was Sonnen broke his arm in the middle of a fight, finished it, and I'm pretty sure he either knocked him out or made him tap.
So can we go back to the point where
arm.
John Jones wishes he was Khabib or Izzy?
Okay, I don't agree with it.
After every one of Izzy's fights, who's the one that wants to bring up his name? John Jones. He's always inputting his name because he wishes he had the.
Because everybody talks about him as the GOAT. It's not true.
No,
not Izzy, but
yeah. Like I think Jones wants everything to be about him. All right, let's go off of let's use some primary things. Instagram followers. I think that's fair. You would think the American would have more, right? John Jones.
He's black. Hold on, he's black.
What does that have to do with anything?
I don't know if that has anything to do
with in America right now.
LeBron, I mean, what's LeBron James's excuse? I mean, like greatness will lead to
John Jones is a black UFC fighter in a white-dominated market.
What's Floyd Mayweather's excuse?
He's also one of the most famous celebrities of all time.
Because of his fighting.
Yeah, but he's also
John Jones,
ridiculous.
5.4 million Instagram followers. Interesting.
Khabib has all of Russia.
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
All of Russia.
24.9 million.
Yeah, all of Russia. They love him over there. They love him over there.
It's Russia. It's the Middle East. It's everywhere. Because
John Jones doesn't have that. Like Khabib's gonna get love here in the or not here. Well, here too. But he's.
But we've said this before. Social media is driven off of U.S. markets, is it not? The fact for Khabib's last
social media is not. Like followers aren't driven on it.
No, but just popularity is very, very Western
dominated.
Yeah, but not your social media presence. The European side of things still crushes stuff from here. Like you can still get that over there. It's not like they don't have social media over there. Like
there's no reason John Jones should be 5 times less famous if we're using this as a barometer.
But that's what I mean. Even to the point of TV ratings, it's like Khabib doesn't put up that great numbers.
Oh, just wait for them. The UFC in their last 2 cards, they fucking switched the times of their fights because Khabib pulls so much over there. Khabib
in Russia.
In Russia and the Middle East. That's because they the last 2 fights he had was in Abu Dhabi.
So what you're telling me is he's stupid popular in Russia?
I mean, he's just stupid popular in general. But
you're telling me they switched it because he's stupid popular in Russia?
I mean, because he can
target your market
in a country where there's how many fighters in the UFC?
Okay, hold on. But where is John Jones galvanizing people to watch him?
Nowhere, because there's 4,000 Americans that fight in the UFC.
But you're supposed to be the greatest of all time, and you can't pull numbers. That's fair.
Social media following his numbers.
No.
Like you're gonna get split on
media.
You're gonna get split
than John
as
Jones,
an American. You're gonna get split on all the great fighters that have come through, like the States.
Like Mauro was saying, Connor's
Irish.
I only watch UFC if Connor's fighting, and I don't watch UFC at all. Yeah. But just because of his name, he's polarizing. He's a galvanizing figure to just want to go and watch. He's a piece of shit. And nobody likes him.
Well, that's why he's galvanizing.
But that's what I mean.
Because he plays that game.
Like, I'm only drawn into UFC if Conor McGregor's name is in there. And I just don't think John Jones has that. And I think relative between the two of them, I think Khabib has a bigger draw closer to that.
We're running really long on this. I think we could probably move on. We still have stuff to cover, but we're never going to agree on this. I think it's fair. I think across the world right now there's a big fight on who's better, and I think it's a fair discussion to have. I think there's a clear winner. You think there's a clear winner.
I don't. No. I don't. I think that it's a conversation that needs to be had. I think that why can't we be comfortable with saying there's a Mount Rushmore? Why?
Sure.
I think there's elite fighters in the UFC, and I think there's 3. Mm-hmm. I think you can argue 4 with Mighty Mouse, but
Mighty Mouse, he was the best he created that division, and he slapped everyone in that division. I put him up there, but it's going to be a tough discussion to have because the division styles are so different. Yeah. No matter who's fighting, it's just they're different in each thing, and it's
and the thing who knows? For me personally, I think the guys that Khabib fought at the top of his career are more impressive than the guys that John Jones did. That's just me. But to another person, it can be totally different.
He fought Sugar Rashad, Rampage, Lyoto Machida.
I understand that, but also, could you not say the UFC evolved since then? It's just like basketball, what if LeBron went back and he had to use that?
I think the rest of John Jones' legacy relies on how he does in heavyweight. If he does well in heavyweight, if he dominates heavyweight, this is not a conversation.
So here's my thing. I think that John Jones and GSP in a way, they will always have detractors, John Jones and just his asterisk, like his personal mess ups off outside of the ring.
Okay.
And also just like this.
I think that side of the thing depends on the person, because I don't agree with that.
But I think in fighting, like that legitimately matters, because that can give you the advantage where someone else
circling back.
And then GSP with his losses, even though you avenged him, he still has losses.
Circling back, you mentioned, when I mentioned Mike Trout, you said if he retired today, is he the GOAT? Because Mike Trout hasn't played very long.
No, fair.
Khabib hasn't fought very long in the UFC.
But he won. Like, you know what I mean? And he won in a sport that mattered.
But he hasn't won the most.
He's
won fights, but he hasn't won games that matter.
But what do you mean though? He fought. So
he's won 4 championships.
You can't. Also, here's a point that I forgot to mention. Brant, in the last Khabib fights, who did you bet on?
Fights plural.
His last 3 fights, you bet on the.
I didn't bet. I didn't bet against Khabib once until this one.
That's cap.
I didn't bet. So the one before this was it Conor before this? Or I didn't even watch that one because I didn't really give a shit, because I don't think Dustin's that good. But
you're the biggest Dustin fanboy.
Dustin.
You love Dustin.
I'd never mentioned Dustin once on this.
I swear you love Dustin.
No, I like Justin. I don't like Dustin. Like, he's okay. I think he's good, but he's not. I like Cerrone. That was fun.
I know that.
Oh my God, Cerrone sucks, bro.
But he's fun. I like it's like I've mentioned him. I don't really care for, like, Dustin's good.
Yeah,
obviously he's a good fighter. He's one of the best. But like, I'm not impressed. I'm not going out to watch a Dustin fight.
And to anyone that says like, "Oh, Khabib didn't fight Tony," well, he beat 2 guys that Tony lost to. Like, it just didn't happen. Like, Michael Johnson.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, no, you're not, dude. Yeah, you can't put Tony and Khabib in a conversation.
Yeah, not even, like, you can't even be like, oh,
and then
that's
Conor. I wasn't betting when Conor fought him. Like, I just wasn't gambling at that point.
Gotcha.
So I only bet on Justin because I thought Justin had a chance, honestly. Like, because whatever, like everybody said, like, he was a really good wrestler.
Yeah,
but
and it didn't fucking matter. Which is like,
I had stats on the Conor fight with thing, but I think they got deleted. Fuck, they did. Never mind. I had the numbers, but whatever. Not important. Yeah, moving on, because we've been real long on this.
And I think it's okay that I think it's okay that we disagree. Like, legit.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm cool to yell at you for the next 3 years of my life. I don't mind.
I'm cool to yell at you back.
Yeah, I don't take it personal. I don't think you do either. No, I think it's a fair discussion.
I do too.
And I'm just the mediator.
Perfect.
Moro, is there any side that you?
Yeah, what side do you lean on?
We didn't really go to the drugs situation, but
I mean but that goes across the board for any sort of sport, any blemish like that. It tarnishes your career, it does have some pull.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the only thing is, I don't know their records. Like, obviously, you guys are saying he's never lost before. John Jones has what, 3 suspensions over his career? That
John Jones is 20-1 in the UFC. Khabib is 13-0. John Jones got suspended 3 times. 2 of them got rescinded because
how many?
I don't know what happened with the third one.
Like, I want to say, like John Jones in terms of
how many questionable
longevity is probably better than
actually 2.
Khabib,
just the elbow and the knee, right?
But peak, like, my whole argument is Khabib's the most dominant fighter we've seen, because he hasn't been dominated.
The only reason he dominates is because he just doesn't fight anyone.
But this last,
and like, to me, it's like John Jones gave DC another chance. He gave Gustafsson another chance, and he beat him both times.
He did.
One's a no contest now, but
DC was better at heavyweight than he was light than what?
Okay.
What's it?
Light heavyweight.
DC was better in heavyweight than he was light heavyweight, and John Jones sucked him, and John Jones jucked him.
It's tougher to go up than it is to go down.
No. So he ducked him when he had the chance to fight DC at heavyweight.
Okay.
And then once DC retires, that's when John Jones makes his decision to flip. And when he didn't want to fight the guy that he should have beat,
DC wouldn't beat John Jones at heavyweight anymore.
I think it's not anymore, but I think, like, if he fought him after,
like, even if he flipped last year, like, was it Stipe that DC lost to
last year? Yeah. But I think if once DC won against Stipe the first time, I think you could have ran him and John Jones then, and they didn't, because DC was scared, or not DC was scared. Jones was scared.
Which did he ever actually plan a fight at heavyweight? Do you know?
I mean,
with DC.
He's been teasing.
Like,
that.
did they have one scheduled at any point? Because there's a few canceled ones on here, but it doesn't tell me what the.
That's always been teased. It's always been teased. The fact that
like they actually had something in, and then the one time
I don't
Jones got hurt, the other two DC got hurt.
I don't think that they did, because Jones was like, no, I'm fighting it.
No, they were scheduled. They were literally scheduled for. So one was UFC 178, and then Jones tore his meniscus, and the other one DC was 197, and Saint Preux. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Oliver St. Preux.
Yeah, so he stepped in because Cormier hurt his leg, and then the other one was the suspension. So
I just think that, like, because the first John Jones DC fight got taken off because of John Jones' positive test.
Second one,
and he fought
wasn't it?
No, because he fought Anderson Silva. I think it was the first time. I think it was for the vacant belt, and he won it, or it was his first defense or something like that. Regardless,
the first one got taken off because Jones got hurt. Sorry.
Yeah. Regardless, wrapping it up, Moro.
Yes.
You're finishing. You're finishing. Like, the drugs and things matter.
Yeah, I mean, I feel in terms of longevity, probably I side towards Jones.
That's the big thing for me.
Like,
sorry,
I feel like going longer, being great for a longer period of time is better than being really, really good for a short period of time.